So I'm going to do a little walkthrough of my sort of light adventure bike mods for a 2025 Suzuki DRZ 4S. Starting at the back here, we've got the small Tusk bags. They come with a pretty long straps, like extra long. They'd reach all the way down here and back. So they've got a little retainers that are supposed to hold on to the ends of the straps. Instead, I just tie them off like that. On this side, you can run them down just around the frame like this. If you come around here, you'll see though that if you try to go here or down here, both of these come really close to the exhaust. So really the only place that's available is through here. It's probably the reason why they have the loop on this side, so that you have a tie down location. I suppose you could put something like here. I just hate to reuse that for a tie down point, but and then here, at least for now, I have a slimline rack coming from Europe. Hasn't arrived yet. Top bag, probably be able to shift these back a little bit. For now, this guy, you can just run the front strap here, goes underneath the seat. It just slides forward until it stops. And then first mod I did to the bike was to remove the seat strap, which is literally a pain in the butt. It's just right where I sit. But having laid the bike down in the soft sand and had to pick it up, I really missed the strap. So I picked up this enduro bike style rescue strap from Amazon. And the problem is it comes with M8 hardware, M8 bolt, and of course the stock bolt is M6. But I found a nice Allen head shoulder bolt at Ace Hardware that has basically has M8 shoulder with M6 threads on it, and that fits here pretty nicely. And it's nice if the bike is down, you don't have to reach all the way down underneath the bike where there's really nothing to grab. You can just grab the strap. You can actually grab it higher, which allows for a little easier initial lift, and then you can move down the strap. Moving forward, I have not done the pegs yet. I tend to have wider, taller, possibly slightly lower pegs. Revzilla lists some pegs for this that they say are compatible, and I ordered up a set. I think it was the Moose Racing pegs, and they are not. They are missing this piece down here that rests against the bike, so they just flop down. I've got some other ones coming that I think will work from a gas. Anyway, those are on the way. And then I've got the it's a little hard to see here, Tusk kickstand pad. It needed a very small modification. Just there's a little slot in the back where there's a support on the back that comes down, is welded on, and there's a little slot where that goes through the pad, and it just needed to be widened. I suspect that this application is for the DRZ 400. I suspect you do the same thing there. I'll bet you that little bracket is not always in the same place. The welds seem to be kind of variable. Staying low, we've got the TM Designworks plastic skid plate, and it seems pretty thick, pretty sturdy. It only adds about 300 grams, which is nice. And then moving forward here, there's the Emperor Racing radiator guard, which has a bracket that runs from here back to the frame of the bike, which sort of triangulates it and makes it pretty strong. So I suspect that in a real hard impact it would probably bend this down a little bit, maybe bend the bracket, but should protect the radiator. One thing when you do install that, the horn has to be mounted to the radiator guard, not to it won't go in its stock location. And then I've got these rally lights. They came, the stock application, they came plug and play with a pass-through for a CRF 300L and CRF 300L rally. They just plug into the accessory port. I snipped off one of the wires for that, added the Suzuki plugs first with a pass-through. So now I've got Suzuki thing, and so that's going from the accessory plug here, and then I kept one of the Hondas. So now I essentially have the ability to do any of the plug-and-play accessories for either Suzuki or Honda. These lights I really like. They are bright. It's a round pattern, so I just aim them down so they pretty much just fill in all the area under the stock low beam cutoff. And the stock light's actually quite good, but you can never have too much light. So I really like the combination of the stock light with these. Moving up here, let's see, we've got, let me straighten this out a bit. We've got the Tusk Handguards, and let's see, here you see the little brass adapter that basically adapts it to the stock threads in the bar. So I just went straight, bolted it in, and it was good to go. I added the Barkbuster bar end weights, trying to cut the vibes a little bit, because when you lock the, when you triangulate the bar like this, you're actually transmitting more vibes from the center to the outside. Anyway, added these on, had to do a little bit of grinding inside the bar end weight to fit over the Tusk bars, but it was pretty easy. And these bars have been really sturdy. I've had the bike down on the bars a couple of times and no issues. Going back to the center here, one thing I was trying to do was reduce the high frequency vibration, especially in the highway. Anybody who knows it's pretty smooth up to about, I don't know, 67 miles an hour. Like 65 is really smooth. 67, it gets there, 68 and above, you start feeling more and more vibes, and it's pretty bad, 70, 75. And so I added these Rox Speed 2-inch pivot risers, so it's pivoted both up and forward, because I also found the cockpit of the bike was just too small. The bars felt too close and too low. And anyway, so this raises up 2 inches, or actually it's an inch and a half, 1.4 inches up and 1.4 inches forward when it's in this position. And then it has rubber bushings inside the risers here that cut the vibes. If you say the vibes at 65 are like, say, 3 out of 10, when you get to 70, theirs is about 4 out of 10, and it just stays there. It never increases beyond that, which makes it a lot more comfortable for highway riding. And okay, let's see, other stuff we've got here. I've got a quad lock anti-vibration mount for the phone so that it doesn't destroy the camera and the phone, as any hard mount will do. And then because it doesn't have any wireless charging, I've got here a fast charger. This little guy will do close to 30 watts, so it's pretty fast. The USB-C charging. I added, oh, that's trying to fall off again. I added this little tachometer hour meter thing. When I first put it on, it didn't work right. It would only read high revs. In other words, at idle, it was reading like 3,200 RPMs, and it would read fine above about 35. And now, for some reason, over time, it has switched, and now it only reads low revs. So seems to read the right idle revs, but it won't go over like 2,800 RPMs or something like that. So anyway, for now, I'm leaving it on there just as an hour meter. I'd love to find one of these that actually works. So going along here, we've got, of course, the ubiquitous DoubleTake mirrors with the newer style arms with these nice big knobs, which I really like. There's only one issue. If you look at the old Ram arms, they have an internal spring that sort of holds it closed against the spring, or with the spring, when you loosen this. So you loosen it and you pull it off, and it sort of pops off and then springs close again, and that helps keep whatever you got on the other end of it in. With these, once you've loosened it enough that this end can fall off, as soon as you pull it off, this one's also loose enough to fall off, and so you can drop your mirror on the ground. Or in my case, I had an arm with the my 360 camera, Insta360 camera on it, and as soon as I pulled it off the bike, the camera just slipped out and fell on the ground and put a scratch in the lens, which was pretty annoying. Okay, so elephant in the room is this windshield. This is the Tusk Universal, and it will completely take the wind off your body. So, and it's a pretty easy mount, just a couple brackets here, a couple grub screws here that hold these bars in, so it's adjustable up and down a little bit. And then I put Loctite ends so the screws don't fall out, but I can loosen those and just pop the whole windscreen off in about 30 seconds. So if I want to do trail riding, I can just pull the windscreen off. And same, putting it back on, less than a minute to get it back on. The problem is that because it mounts only in the middle of the screen with little bushings here, the windscreen will sort of wobble back and forth, especially on a bumpy road. It'll just go back and forth, and that actually wears out the inside of these mounts. Between the steel and aluminum here, it wears it away and it gets looser. So what I did is I designed a little gripper down here that I just screw into the headlight surround, and it grabs the bottom of the windscreen and holds it securely, so that it'll take, you know, pretty decent off-road actually, any gravel road, certainly light fire roads and stuff. For serious trail riding, I take it off just so you don't dump the bike on it. And then the touch screen will pretty much take the wind completely off your body. I'm about 6 feet, so what it was doing was dumping the wind right about in the middle of my eyes, right in the middle of my opening of my helmet. So I added this little extension. This is a no brand extension from Amazon, and it in its low position, it's adjustable, so I had it down here. That would put the wind just above the opening of my helmet, but it was noisy. I was getting buffeting, so it was quite loud. When I put it up in this high position, it puts the air over the top of pretty much over the top of my helmet. I can tell it's sort of just on the top, but it's much quieter and a lot more comfortable. So between the anti-vibration mounts here and the windscreen, it's actually pretty comfortable on the highway at 70-75 miles an hour now. This will get pushed around a little bit if you're behind somebody pulling a trailer or something. It gets a little, you can feel it kind of bumping back and forth, but it's either that or it's on your chest, so I'll take that. And then getting down here, we've got the IMS 3.3 gallon gas tank. It comes with a cap that has a vent tube, just a straight out vent, and you have to run that tube up and down, well down here, so if it flips over, the end of that tube is essentially above the level of the gas. I didn't care for that. I added a little extension, just a little tube with a check valve, one-way check valve, that would do, so that I verified it would let air in, but if the tank was upside down, it wouldn't let fluid out. But I'd still like to say put a tank bag on top of this. So I looked around and I found the Acerbis, there we go, Acerbis tanks have this lockable gas as an option. They have a lockable gas cap, and I say lockable because you can just leave it in the unlocked position. So there's unlocked and it just works normally. And then when you lock it, it disconnects the outer part of the cap from the inner part of the cap, so it spins freely. And that way you only have to lock it if you're on an adventure ride or something and you just want to lock it, and otherwise you can pretty much ignore it. That's about it. As I said, I've got a rear rack coming, the slimline rear rack coming for it, and I've got a top bag that'll mount up there when needed. My goal though was really to keep the weight down as much as possible. I don't want to add crash bars and side bars and all that kind of stuff. I want to be able to take it into a little bit more technical trails. I ran 600 miles or so, a little less, right around 600 on the stock tires. I found they're great on the road, like really good on the road, and they were surprisingly good off-road actually. But there were certain places where I found, you know, I obviously needed a little more grip, front end grip when in the sort of gravelly stuff, and so I ended up with the Michelin Anarchy Wild dual spurt tires. As you can see, these I found they are also quite good on the road. You can just feel a little bit of buzz, but otherwise they're really grippy, so I can lean the bike over as much as I want. And the tread blocks are a little close, so I suspect they're not, you know, they're not going to be ultimate lateral grip, but I think they're better than stock. We'll see how that goes. You can see those guys. Rear again, probably a little more paddle grip than lateral grip, just because of how close the tread blocks are. But I think that's it. Anyway, it's been pretty fun. So there it is.